friends, Paul here in the RoJoBe Music Workshop, and welcome to my next project, which is this, a vintage A-style bowlback mandolin. So I bought this for myself, originally just to do a left-hand conversion without doing any major modifications. However, as you can see, we've got a little bit of high action going on there. When I say high, I mean I can put my finger under there, and that's without the strings under tension. So you know the action would probably be even higher if the strings were up to tension. So when when this thing first arrived and I had a look at it, I thought, yeah, it's a nice looking mandolin. Then I noticed this, and at first I thought the neck was kind of bowed, but it's not. The neck, I've checked it, the neck is perfectly straight. What's happening is the neck is coming away from the body here, so it's lifting out forward, and you know the fretboard is kind of bowed, but the neck itself is perfectly straight. So this needs a neck reset as well as a left-hand conversion. But you know, taking a look at this 50-year-old mandolin, it's in really nice shape. Other than this, you know, neck popping out, it's in beautiful condition for a 50-plus-year-old instrument. And the brand of this, it's a Japanese-made Kunishima. I think I'm pronouncing that right, but correct me if I'm wrong. And it's, as I said, it's a 1973. And it's a number 12. Kunishima, I think that's right, Kunishima number 12, 1973. Now, I bought this online for 1100 baht, 1100 Thai baht, which equates to 25 quid or $32. Now, I've been doing some research on these mandolins, this brand, and it's really well made. I mean, can't see it, but inside it's all lined with I'm not sure, some kind of paper, but it's been done really well. It's very well made and a beautiful instrument in my opinion, apart from this little problem that I've got to solve. So as I said, I've been doing some research on these, and it turns out that these retail for anything between $200 and $1,000 US dollars. Well, as I said, I paid $32 for this. So even if this is the bottom range, you know, kind of $200 mark, I've got a pretty good deal, I think. But from what I can figure out, and like I said, I have been doing some research. I've not been able to find this exact model, but I've found some that are very similar and the same kind of era, and they seem to be kind of the low to mid range, sort of $400 to $600. So I'm guessing this may be somewhere within that bracket. If so, I've got an amazing deal. But like I said, even if it's the low end of the, you know, the valuations, you know, a couple of $100 or so, still got an amazing deal. So I got a set to work on this, removing and resetting this neck. Now, the biggest problem I'm going to face, and I'm really not sure how to overcome it right now, is when I come to setting the neck back in, how on earth am I going to clamp this? I mean, look at the shape of it. Where and how would I put any clamps on this? At this stage, I do not know. Right, so the first thing I need to do is strip this down. I'm going to remove the strings. I'm going to keep the strings because they look to be in really good condition. It doesn't look as though they've been used much, if at all. And also, they're kind of unusual looking strings from my experience for mandolins. So maybe they're specific ones for this type of mandolin. And as I said, they're in really good shape, so I'm going to keep these strings. So I'm going to strip it down, and for that I only need a few tools. I've got my little screwdriver, and I've got my palette knife, if you like, for removing the fretboard. So I'm going to take off the strings, the tuners, the nut, the bridge and the tailpiece, and then the fretboard and the neck. Now, what's happened because of this issue here, this part of the fretboard on the body has actually all come away from the body, all the glue's unstuck, which is a good thing because that, that's basically made a start on removing the fretboard. So, and as I said, I've got my palette knife here to remove it the rest of the way. I don't know if you can see, but there's a gap here underneath the fretboard where it's lifted so much. So, I've got a good place to start to get the palette knife underneath to remove the fretboard. And I've got a feeling it's going to come off pretty easily, but if not, if it fights me a little bit, I've also got my trusty iron to heat up my palette knife to make removal easier. Ooh, I suspect that this has been stuck on with hide glue, given its age and the style of mandolin that it is, but we'll see when we come to that. So, first thing I've got to do is start stripping it down. So let me just turn the camera around and down so that you can see what I'm doing, more or less. Okay, so first thing I'm going to do is remove the strings, and rather than coiling them up like I usually do, I'm just going to put them together straight and wrap one of these around them. Okay, so, and I've also got a tin here that I'm going to be putting all the bits and pieces in. So let's take the bridge out first. Nicely made bridge that. It's probably rosewood, and not sure if the saddle is plastic or bone. I would suggest that's probably the original bridge and saddle, so I'm not going to try and do anything with that saddle at all. Luckily I can just turn it around for conversion for left-handed. Whether it's plastic or bone, being 50 years old, it's going to be brittle, so I'm not going to do anything with that, make any changes whatsoever. Okay, so let's get the strings off first. So they're already loose. They shouldn't be too difficult to remove. This is it's going to take a while though. Right. Okay. So just uncoil that end. Okay, and I'll do the bottom end when I've got them all off. Actually, that's already off. Okay. So. And as I said, these strings are in good condition, so I'm going to be reusing them. I do have a spare set of mandolin strings, but I want to reuse these originals, unless, they break or whatever. But like I said, I've got a spare set should I need them. Oh dear, how's that put in there? Appears to be looped through itself. That's not good. Let's get a little pair of pliers and see if we can push the end out. And how are we doing for time? Oh my god, really? Ready? Yeah, I had a feeling this was going to be a fiddly job, and I was right. Okay. Well, ended up easy enough. Seems like we've got quite a strange way of putting these strings on. They sort of loop through themselves, but not too bad. I'm going to have some issues putting these back on, I know that. Should probably do off camera. I should have done this bit off camera really, but I wanted to take you through the process of what I'm doing. What on earth is going on there? Bear with me. That was looped through and under about 3 times, so it isn't going to come off in a hurry. Got a bit of a kink at the end. It's struggling to go through. There we go. That's that one. Okay. I wish they'd all go that easy. bass strings now, the bass side. These tuners, I mean, they're not, you know, high quality ones, but given their age, they seem to be quite good, which is nice because I wouldn't want to change. Like I said, I'm not going to change anything on this mandolin. I'm going to keep it as original as possible because, yeah, okay, it's not high value, but there is some value to it, and I want to keep it as original as possible. So if you're doing the left-hand conversion, because of this style of mandolin, I only need to swap the bridge around and swap the nut around. I don't need to make any, you know, actual modifications to the instrument whatsoever, which is good. We're keeping it in its original condition, which is exactly what I want to do. Okay, pliers again. Ooh. Right, last one. Last one, the most difficult, isn't that always the way? Yeah, the tuners are a little bit stiff, but I'm gonna clean them and oil them anyway. So just before I remove those, I just want to show you this with the tuning pegs. You see from the top down towards the bottom here, they're different heights, which is quite a good design. You know, the ones that are closest to the fretboard are the lowest, and then they progressively get a little bit higher as they go out towards the top. Good idea, actually. Right, let's take them all off the bottom end. Okay, so we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. One's just gone on the floor. 7. Stuck under my chair now. And 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay. So I'm just going to keep those together straight and not coil them up, and just wrap one of these little ties around it for now. And then put those to one side, out of my way. So we've got the bridge. Now the next thing I want to look at is this nut. Really small and thin. Again, not sure if it's plastic or bone, but very small and very old, and therefore probably quite brittle. It does look as though I'm going to need to slightly modify the nut slot when I turn it around, but that's not a big problem. So I want something that I can just gently pry that out with. I don't know if it's glued in or not, probably is. But like I said, I just do not want to break it. Yeah, a little bit concerned about that. It is glued in. Right, let's try a very small screwdriver. Just gently try and pry it out without causing any damage to it or the fretboard. Is it going? I think it's starting to go. Oh, there we go. That's just popped out. Very nice. It's so tiny. Really tiny little thing. Yeah, I probably will need to do some minor modification for that when I turn it around, but I'll take a look at that nearer the time. Okay, so, alright, let's remove the tailpiece, which should be just, it's 4 screws. Can you see what I'm doing there? Yeah, okay. Now the only reason I'm removing everything is that A, it will just make it easier to get to where I need to make the repairs, but also when it comes to putting it back together, I want to give it a good clean first. Now if I can't remove these screws without damaging them, I'm going to leave the tailpiece in, because they're pretty tight. They might even be glued in as well. That one's on the move. I don't want to do any unnecessary damage. I'm going to need to turn it around just to make it easier for myself. See if I can get those screws starting to turn. Yeah, I'm not going to take it off. I'm going to leave it in place. I'm going to end up damaging those screws and possibly the tailpiece itself. I'm just going to do that one back up. And I'm going to leave that in place. That's not in my way anyway. That's fine. That can stay. Yeah. I don't want to cause any unnecessary damage. So, I'm going to take the tuners off now. Hopefully I won't have the same problem there with the tight screws. We should be okay. That one's moving. Yep. This will be easy enough. 5 screws on each set of tuners. Just make sure they're all turning first before I commit to taking them out. Actually, all of these screws do seem a little bit loose, which is good. It means it's going to come out. Okay, so let's take those screws out. So they're quite long. How are we doing for time now? It's running away a bit. Okay. And as I said, these tuners, they're not, they're not expensive ones. They've got plastic buttons on them. But when you turn them, they're a bit stiff. They probably just need a little bit of cleaning and oiling. But they do move quite nicely. I've recently bought some tuners, quite expensive, but absolute rubbish. Seems to be stuck on the end of the thread a little bit, that one. Come on, out you come. Why is that not coming out? Okay. Take the others out, it might just be stuck on a little bit of glue or something. Okay. Ooh. Oh, they're in there tight. There we go, that's that one out. Make sure I've got all the screws. 1, 2, 3, 4. Where did the other one go? There it is. Okay, that's one side out. That's good actually, that they're a nice snug fit in the tuners are a nice snug fit in the holes in the headstock. I'd rather that than they were, loose and wobbling about. So as I said, this it is a pretty well-made mandolin, in my opinion. A beautiful thing. It's always the way that the little fiddly jobs I'm doing on camera take ages. But, there's no point rushing it. Certainly not this stage. This is the very first stage of the job. Don't expect these screws have been out for decades. Possibly since the thing was built. Right, let's see if that one will pop out. Oh, tight. There we go. Make sure I've got all the screws. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, so that's the tuners out. Quite, basic, but nice enough. As I say, they will need a clean up and a little bit of oil. They have been oiled, but they got grit and dust stuck to them, so that will all need cleaning up. Right, is there anything else? No, I'm going to leave the tailpiece on. So I've got all the bits and pieces in this tin now. I've got the lid for it as well. So I'm going to put that on, put that out of the way, and I know that everything is safe then. Right, okay, so Now it's time to try and remove this fretboard. A little bit nervous of this stage, but we'll see how it goes. So I'm just going to very gently try and get my palette knife under. Yes, it's going in quite a way, so I do have the feeling that this will come off quite easily. I don't like those sounds. It looks as though that might have cracked a little bit. I think it's just, I heard the crack and I can see it. I think it's just in the finish, but it's got to come off, so I've just got to take my time, ease it off gently. Don't really want to put any heat on this, you see, because it's, you know, old finish, old wood. I don't want to put any unnecessary stress on it. I really don't like those sounds. I mean, it's probably just the glue coming away, but you know, when you're working on things like this, especially with something with some age, and you hear cracking, it's not a nice sound. Like I said, I just think it's the glue coming away. And like I said, I really don't want to put any heat on this. Don't think it will like it. It's probably some kind of shellac finish, which incidentally I have recently bought a lot of different shades of shellac, plus the top coat as well. So you know, if anything does need refinishing on this, I've got the proper stuff to do it now. And it is still pretty well stuck, but I can feel it, you know, biting through the glue, whatever kind of glue it is, and it is coming away. Just don't want to rush it and cause any unnecessary damage. I may have to put a little heat on that. Okay, so I'll plug the iron in, get some heat going on that. Can't for the time being. Okay, I'm just going to persevere for now. Let's get the iron out of the way. I really don't want to use any heat on this. I definitely don't want to scratch any of the finish either, that's why I'm kind of going in from the side rather than up that way. I mean, it's going, but it is quite well stuck. I think I am going to have to use some heat on it. But I'm going to finish that off camera, removing the fretboard. You've seen me do these many times before. You can see how I'm doing it. But I really want to, you know, set my mind to it, concentrate, and make sure I get it off nice and clean, not cause any damage. So I'm going to continue that off camera, and that'll be the end of this video, part 1. And in part 2, we'll be able to see where we are as far as the neck itself and how to go about removing that. So I'm really, you know, excited about this project. I hope you're going to enjoy it as much as I am. Please don't forget to like, share, comment and subscribe, and don't forget to hit that notification bell, and we will see you in part 2. In the meantime, please look after yourselves, look after each other. We will see you soon. Peace out.